Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Virtual Happy Hour. A little different open today. I'm going to tell you from the start as I pull up this, just not in a good place today. Pretty simple for a lot of reasons, but I think we all know most of the situation. Let me see. Let me pull this up here and make sure we're getting a little bit of a audio signal, and I'll be able to tell you that in a couple minutes. Anyway, glad you guys are along on your Wednesday on the patio. Thought, why not, right? Why not get the patio? Um, it is a 72 degree. Yep, I got the audio working. 72 degrees here in DFW. Sun's going down. I kind of wish I'd have brought my little. I've got a little small, and you may have noticed that some when I shoot in the studio, I've got a whole set of studio lights, um, two side lights and one front light, and three light system, whatever you want to call it, box lights, whatever. Um, that's what I use upstairs in the studio / office. Downstairs, or even if I'm on a remote, or if I don't want to set all the lights up, I use a little it's a little ring light, so maybe yay big, and it just hooks there on my laptop screen, and goes from there. So, but I didn't bring it downstairs, and although it's maybe another 45 minutes to an hour left of some light, some of the sunlight. Maybe a little dark, so I apologize for that. Glad you guys are along. I'm going to bring Mom on real quick because she's been waiting patiently in the wings. And let's bring her. Oh, wait, hold on just a second. I've got to also, don't say anything, Mom, just yet. Hold on. I'm a little behind the 8 ball here. I did not get Mom's proper introduction. Hold on. Give me just a moment. I didn't put this in. I actually took it out, and I meant to put it back in. So, Mom, just hold on. Let's see here. As I produce on the fly. Here we go. Here's Mom's intro. I'm going to play it for you guys now. Let's bring this down and let's bring this up. And here she is from Indiana. Here's my mom. Hold on. She has her own intro. Not many folks can say that. How about that, Mom? What's going on?
Oh, not much. Sort of like you, funky.
Yeah,
Hey, life
I
goes
just
on.
I just don't know what to say. And there's a lot of things, and I'm going to get to it in the back end of the show. But hello, Tracy. Good to see you out there, and Brother Hendrick and Harold in Australia. Good day, mate. Boy, I got a mozzie here, a mosquito that they should be sort of slowly disappearing, but one just lurked and suddenly made an appearance. Yeah, I'm the same way. Went to bed last night, sort of, and then woke up going, huh? And then by the end of the day, and today I didn't teach today. It was the first day I've had off from school in 3 weeks. And I was like, wrong day. I should have been in class today. It would have been much better for me mentally. But yeah, I don't know where to really start. We don't know much more than we knew maybe this morning we woke up, except that it's getting closer from one way or the other. I want to ask you this, Mom, just from a person that's been on this earth a little longer than most of us, which is good on you. You go back a few elections. I mean, you can remember obviously the Kennedy-Nixon election. I'm not poking fun. I'm saying that was a big turnout then. Obviously, previous elections as well. Do you recall anything more? I don't know. I guess the first thing is polarizing than this one.
No, I don't. Uh, it's crazy. I know that this is unusual. I know that there have always been issues, you know, with various elections in my own mind. And I know with Kennedy, it was, oh God, we're going to have a Catholic. Now my opinion is changed with that,
But
they're
that was
all
the
God's
rhetoric. That
people.
was the rhetoric then. That was the rhetoric of the times. That was
That's
right.
right, exactly. And then, and Obama was another issue. and then this one, it's almost ridiculous. It's I don't I'm fearful only because of uh, the unrest amongst people who are really don't give a shit about our government. They just want to cause destruction and havoc. And the majority of Americans want peace and quiet. And but these are getting paid by the ass named George Soros and a few others like that. Um, and to destroy our country. And we as Americans, regardless of what the outcome is, are going to have to stand strong and not let those people undermine what our country has been for years. That's what's the scary part. But I have faith that God will provide for America because we've been godly in many respects. But hey, maybe it's a test for our faith and where we're headed. I don't know. I, I'm
I'd also be interested. Also be interested too, Mom. Your take us back to say. I mean, now granted, I didn't start voting until 89, 88 ish. So when the Bush election, the first Bush election, but take me back to, I mean, even the 70s, 60s, whenever, even prior to that, it didn't seem like people were in each other's throats as much as they are now. I mean, maybe
No.
that's a part and parcel of social media. I mean, maybe that's probably as
Well,
much to do with it as anything.
that
But take that out of it. It seemed like people could go to the coffee shop and get along, despite of who they voted for.
exactly. And I would say social media and the results thereof, the good and the bad, uh, have fed this fire
Yeah.
of unrest and nastiness. And I would say, though, the average American, whether they be on one side or the other, most of my friends, and they're not, they're respectful and whatever. It's that one little element that, and I'm not even sure that they are Democrat. I think they're just socialists trying to make trouble,
Yeah.
and they're funded by foreigners, so, or somebody who doesn't care about America and its values. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I get the feeling too, and I'll use my grandparents as an example. They were people that went back and forth from party to party, depending on the factors, meaning that what was going to be best for them as business people, as farmers, as people of
Yes,
faith. So, and of my lifetime, I remember as a young man, them being very staunch Democrats. I remember them flipping over to the Republican Party, later in life. I guess my point is that it seems like it seems like it wasn't as much about divisiveness and I just watched their example was very and when it was over with, it was kind of like, okay, let's try to
we're moving
forge as
on.
best we could.
Yeah,
And I don't get that because where I'm transitioning to this is because I worry. I mean, I don't think it's any secret who I voted for. It doesn't mean I like the man. I don't think it's any secret where my political standing is. I don't mention that on the air. I don't
yeah.
broadcast that on my
I don't either.
broadcast
I don't either.
on my games. Now on my social channel, like this is me. This is my channel, so I can kind of do what I want to do here within reason. I don't want to go too far one way or the other. My
Well,
worry is to be canceled because of where I voted. I worry about that because there are a lot of people out there who are quote unquote sports followers who supposedly are into sports, who we're friends and followers and acquaintances of, who don't vote the same as me, and they're out to cancel folks. And I don't want that. I would be mortified, heartbroken, devastated to have the fact that I voted for somebody cancel me as a person. And that's where I'm going. That's my point is my grandparents didn't cancel folks, and their contemporaries didn't cancel people out because of how they voted or didn't vote. Does that
well,
make
and the
sense what I'm
point
saying?
being is, and here we go back to the social media. It's both a positive and a high negative. On your differences are aired much more openly now. Uh, Nobody, they probably knew who you voted for,
Sure.
but my parents, and I'm the same way. I didn't stand on the street corner and carry signs. I mean, that's not my style. I have my own opinion. You have your own opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. I didn't. You know, and the thing that worries me the very most is this is destructive to the fabric of the foundation of America, and the way this has transpired, the riots, the burnings, the fact that businesses boarded up their businesses, it's crazy, and we never have had that before, and so that element is not necessarily aligned strictly with the Democratic Party, but because it's funded by and it's been proven it's funded by outside groups that are causing this unrest. So I'm hopeful that maybe that will go away, but I don't know. Who knows? And
Yeah, it's
we all have
crazy.
a right to
Sure.
voice our opinion, but I'm I have my best friend here. One of my best friends here. Two of my best friends. They vote for opposite from me. We joke. We don't talk about it. I've always my mantra through the years, and it's worked far well for me. Don't discuss politics, religion, or your friggin' doctors, because you're all going to have different opinions,
Right.
and maybe even the restaurant you eat at. Just go along with the flow. Don't discuss politics and religion are two things that
Right.
I don't discuss uh, publicly with anybody. If they ask me and ask my opinion, I will give them a watered down opinion without, they know where I am and how I am. But here's the thing. I look at politics, and my parents looked at politics. What are they going to do for me as a farmer? Well, farmers don't count anymore. They used to be a huge uh, graphic, demographic of people that the politicians courted, but they don't care anymore about the farmer. Just make sure we have food. That's they don't realize where it's coming from and the lack thereof of restitution for or payment for that. So, but I didn't see any platforms, nor did I look for any that said this is what we're going to do in our platform for the farming community. We're still a significant population, but we're not. We don't count. I mean, steel workers, medical professionals, uh, those manufacturing, car manufacturers, pharmaceutical companies. Those are the ones that count. And the people who furnish your everyday sustenance and the clothing on your back, we don't figure in the programs anymore.
Right. And
So I can't find anywhere. I kind of looked. I didn't look that carefully. I thought, well, okay, I'm going to put my hat on something to say, okay, I'm okay with this. But I don't see anything that's
yeah,
saying to the farmer, and so everybody looks at politics as to what it suits where they are in their world. If you're a teacher, it's one thing. If you're a broadcaster and a sports person, it's another thing. So and and if you're a doctor, it's another world. Um, but it's crazy. I try to be an optimist, so that's where I'm coming from. And I went to sign checks and stuff at the Council on Aging and took some memorial checks, and because everybody I know is pushing up daisies in the cemetery, and so I've spent more. I mean, I bet I've had 15 people this summer, and it's not COVID related, only just a very few, and but so I did that. So mid afternoon when the restaurants are not, of course, Artisan didn't open, but they've been closed because of COVID, and but my other favorite restaurant, and Jeannie Kern is the owner, and she and I are good friends. And her kids went to Concord, and they loved your brother, as their kids loved your brother as a teacher. Anyway, um, and uh, and we sat and talked. We didn't talk politics. We talked about, oh, the salmon is pretty good this time of year. The walleye's even better. My grandson is this. My granddaughter is this. My kids are this. Did you like the tequila in the drink? So we didn't talk politics, even though I don't know what side of the world she's on, but she owns a restaurant that's they're struggling. Restaurants struggle to keep up. They've had a high expense. They've installed these plexiglass things so they can increase their uh, people, 10 people in the restaurant because they were able to seat them outside. But now that it's winter, up here, of course, it was 70 today, and so they did have people outside, but it was a little windy. But I was there, and there was nobody inside but me, except and the waitresses and the owner. So it. So I don't know. I try to be the eternal optimist, and I will say I didn't sleep very well last night. But it's a new day. The person the thing we have to worry about, are we right with our Savior? And
Sure,
that's the
sure.
bottom line. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that doesn't even figure in some people's lives. And
No.
there you go. So
Yeah, yeah, it's bizarre times for sure, and yeah, you brought the farmer thing up too, and I will kind of close with this for you. But I I, I remember as a kid, and this went through college as well, and most of the '90s. Um, and this is partially because of my relationship with my grandparents and being around them quite a bit. But that was always a conversation about where their politics were going to go. And I say that because I didn't hear any of that this year, really. I mean, a little bit of in Iowa, but not much. And I think that it's become less about, and GM said this during the debates, it's become less about the overall issues and platforms and all that. It's become more about, well, two or three items that we each stand for. And that's it. And it's just funny as I think back, because I remember many a conversation with your parents about, what the farm needed and what the farmer needed. And it's just funny because I hadn't even thought about that. I couldn't tell you maybe two or three things I even read all the last 4 or 5 years about it. It's
yeah,
crazy, Mom.
exactly.
Yeah, it's
Well,
crazy. Yeah.
and the point being, that's my livelihood. That's my world, and it's a great inheritance. There's one thing about it, though. They can't take the land away from me. It may not be growing anything, and if I want to survive, I may have to sell the land. But the land, as my dad used to say, they're not making any more earth. They're not making
Right.
God's not making any more earth. What's here is here, and I'm going to get my portion of it.
Sure.
So
Sure.
so uh, who knows? And I try to be positive about it. And so far, God has been good to us on the
Sure.
farm. So maybe we can trust Him to be inspirational to those people who are going to be in power, whoever that might be. At this point, who knows? So
Who
I'll
knows?
get
Who
off
knows?
so you
All
can
right,
talk.
Mom. Love you. I'll let you go. And there she goes, folks. There she is, Mom, right there from Indiana. It's the dog. I should probably have the exit music too, but I kind of think that'll work. But the problem was when I press play, it kind of, I can hear it, but it wasn't doing its thing. So I started over again. Anyway, and the dog comes out to say hi. Hello, folks. Let's let you guys say hello to him. There he is, everybody. Hello, bud. How you doing? Let me get this back. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I'm sure going probably all seasick there. Good to see Sean up there. Yes. Thank you, Tracy, for being so kind there. A couple things. Okay. I am going to get to some fun stuff in the back end of this thing. I'm just going to make a couple of blanket statements here. And hello.
Hello.
All of a sudden, my wife slinks up behind me.
That's what I'm good at doing.
I was going to touch on her comment in a moment, but are you joining us? Or what are you doing?
Well,
Actually, it looks blue. What happened to the? Oh, there it goes. Okay, there it goes. It may just be the camera fighting the sun setting. Thank you for the light, by the way. That worked. Go ahead. No. You know it worked. It's fine, but that's all. It's all good for the time being. But what were you saying?
I was just going to come out and say hi briefly because I'm still studying.
Oh, okay. You brought the dog up.
Well, he was wanting to come out.
Interesting comment. I'm gonna let you touch on. The vast majority of square feet in the country are red, but population dense places are blue. We have to find a way to work with both peoples. Can't just be one or the other. I'll put that on the screen so you guys can sort of see that. You want to elaborate on that just a little bit, what you were saying?
You know, I think it's incumbent upon both both populations, the Republicans and the Democrats, to realize that you can't just say that because you win the popular vote that your agenda is the only one that matters. Because when you look at the map, you know, in each of those states and how much red and how much blue and whatever, the blues are populated, you know, in those population dense cities. So yes, there are certain needs that need to be dealt with in the cities that are vastly different than what's happening in the rural place. And this is the same conversation they had at our founding. You know, they didn't want just the big states like Virginia, New York to dictate what was happening everywhere. The small states needed to feel like they mattered as well. And so it's not necessarily the small states anymore. Now it's just the small towns and the people who are rural and the people who just have different needs and wants and value systems. And it's not necessarily I'm talking about like Christian or non-Christian or secular, you know, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that like people in small towns, it's just a different world. And you know the blues have to acknowledge that they can't leave them out of the conversation of the country, and the reds need to realize that, you know, what's happening in the cities is is very different than their existence, and they might need something else, you know. So I don't know, it's just really complicated, and it's very frustrating that nobody can seem to like figure out that it's like having a kid. It's like having two kids and they need vastly different things, like having a boy who's an athlete and a daughter who's a pianist. You know, like you can't just go, well, you can't have your pianist run the same workout regimen that your son does. Like that's not going to be helpful. But they both need to be taken care of. And I think a good, thoughtful parent should be able to do that. And we don't have good, thoughtful leaders that can do that. Yeah, everyone's needs need to be considered. You're absolutely right, Sarah.
No, no doubt.
And we're not doing that. We're not doing a good job. We're just saying my needs and this is
Well,
what I think. And, you know, like, and
I-
when you talk about people, you know, like they bring up these big, you know, broad programs like the Green New Deal and all that stuff. And that may be great for the environment, but they have to concede that there are people in the oil industry that could ruin, you know, or until they can prove to them in some meaningful way that their livelihoods and their homes and their families aren't going to be in jeopardy. I think they just don't understand there's a sense of visceral sort of like fear that happens with that. When you start telling people that they can't fly on planes because planes, you know, burn too much, you know, have too much of a carbon footprint. Well, you know, business people who fly are like, so what, am I not going to be able to like earn a living anymore? You know, people who are in the travel industry don't get to have jobs anymore, you know. So I think we just have to navigate some of those things with a little more sensitivity, you know. And maybe that's the problem, that the people who are pushing certain things don't have the sensitivity. I will say this, we absolutely must contend with issues of race, and we must do a better job of making this place a more um, a place with better, you know, equality for women, for people of color, and the like. But that doesn't mean that it's not one or the other. It's not a zero sum game. And I think that we've been playing a zero sum game for too long, and I am done with my rant. Maybe I need to run for office. Nobody would vote for
Probably in Pennsylvania, but not here.
Pennsylvania.
Well, anyway, yes, lots of extremes on both sides. First off, good to see you, Dean. Yet Sarah actually adds. Let me pull this over here on this side. Sorry, guys, if you're getting a little. It's not really what you're supposed to do, but this is a pretty cool little mic, so it should pick her up and not my destroyed. My voice is in like the worst shape. It's terrible shape. In Hope, Dean, good to see you as well, brother. Lots of extremes on both sides. I will give you that. I saw a friend of mine today who I do like, and this guy is actually not a fraternity brother that I knew in school. He's a guy that I've met since that time. I met him, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, and he happened to be a Sigma Chi. Just by coincidence, we met. I still like him awfully. I mean, I still like the guy. I still have nothing but respect for him. But he had a group of people on a back and forth, basically calling anyone that didn't live in the city. I mean, insert whatever you want, a derogatory term you want to name for people that are in the country. And just because a person's from the country and doesn't live in the city doesn't make them any less of a person, or vice versa. Because I will tell you that Lubbock, I consider the country. It's 300,000. Well, it's 300,000 people, so that's not, but there's towns around there that are all they're smaller versions of Lubbock. And Lubbock's a very, very conservative place, and it's very country. There's nothing wrong with being rural or country. There's nothing wrong with being a person that lives on a farm or ranch. Nothing wrong with that. And I use that as an example because I was mortified at this long stretch of calling it. This is winning for the state of Texas. This is Ohio. This is Ohio and Pennsylvania folks going back and forth. And they were calling out everybody that was a rural person in both Pennsylvania and Ohio as being trash. And that's unfortunate.
And that's sort of what I was talking about. Is we need to have more empathy for people on the other side, like whatever that is. Like I think Democrats need to have more empathy for Republicans. Republicans need to have more empathy for Democrats because we have different needs and wants, but we both need to be able to basically exist in the same family. And again, those rural people, are worried about different kinds of things, and you can't just write them off and say because their needs aren't the same as the kinds of needs that are in the city that they don't matter.
Well, and I will give you what Sarah said is that we were just talking about my mom. My grandparents were as conservative, and in my lifetime, I watched them go back and forth from party to party because they voted based upon well, first off, their business was farming, very rural. They were very rural people, based upon what was best for the farm and the ranch. That was their livelihood. And then they did sort of have some social causes in general, but for the most part, in their generation, you kind of kept the church and religion. They coexisted without they didn't bump heads in the night. Now we're bumping heads about religion and all that. And what I'm saying is, my grandparents were, and I remember as a kid, and my father in Dallas was more of a city guy. And I remember a couple times my grandparents were going to vote. And I'll use Carter as an example. They were going to vote for Jimmy Carter. And I was, in my household in Dallas, that was like, you had to be crazy to vote for that guy. But then if they turn around a few years later, and I'm sorry, it wasn't Carter. It was, actually, my grandmother was going to vote for one and then my granddad the other. And they eventually voted for.
Funny to think about that.
I think they eventually, there was a thing, this is going way back history-wise, there was something that happened with the farmer, and it switched a lot of farmers to Reagan in 79, 80, and I know they flipped back. It's all good of a thought. My mom can probably help me out more of that. But what I'm saying is, I watched my grandparents go party to party, not because they were just changing them like socks, because it depended on what the issues and the platforms made sense to them. Now issues and platforms don't matter because
you bring up a good point. Did anybody ever get to see one?
No, that's what we were talking about before you came out. I was saying in the debates, we didn't hear policy. My mom was saying we never heard what the farm policy is. I've read enough that I am concerned for the West Texas farmer and the farmer in anywhere in the country. I think you saw by the Iowa vote, you can see the Iowa farm, which is very important to the state of Iowa and Kansas. I think you saw that. But again,
see, you got to have city people that understand that we have to care for our farmers. We
but
have
you
to be
have
able to care for everyone. Like we can't just put people in boxes. Like it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
and that's unfortunate.
well, but the city people, and I'm going to tell you that because I live in the city. And I love my neighborhood. I thought about this today. Do I want to move from a neighborhood? We live and I'm not trying to we live in a small place, but our zip code is shared by a former president. He's the same zip code as we are, but he's the same zip code. And a lot of around us is a pretty nice affluent zip code. Yeah. And we live in I'm walking through the neighborhood this afternoon. I went and did my walk at noon today or later on because I wanted to feel the sunshine on my face today. I haven't felt it in a few days. So I've been doing it at 5:45 in the morning. So I did it later in the day. But I'm walking these homes and I'm seeing, all the signs and all that. And I'm thinking, maybe I'm just going through these things in my mind because there's a lot of people, and you go on social media, a lot of people out there are poo-pooing on the person from the city. And I guess to a degree, the folks from the country sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
But people from the country go to the city to shop and eat and things. I mean, I'm telling you, I've seen this before. I grew up in this environment where I don't know where she's going, but I guess where I'm trying to go with this was today I was thinking, there are a lot of people in this area where I live. You go to North Park Mall, those highfalutin stores and rich families that shop there, they think my family and the background we have are a joke. They think that farming is a joke. I think that rural people are a joke. There goes Southwest over the top. And unfortunately, and I'm just using that as an example, that's what would become. Let me catch up here. Yeah, Lance and a lot of folks in Lubbock, to me, still nothing like Dallas, Fort Worth. And you got folks that live in Lubbock are moving out in the country, smaller towns. What? No, it's making it a little bit bluer. Sarah says, I have family and friends on both sides. I have opinions, however, I can see that so many different people need to be considered. Yes.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we're saying. And that's kind of what I was going to say is that it's been my observation.
Because we do want
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to be nice to the
I
farmers.
have-
We do need food.
I have friends from Chicago that
The
lived.
world needs food.
I have friends in Chicago that lived, worked family farm life for years. My friends ran local office for the help farm. Yes. And the dog, he's just wanting your attention, babe. We do want food. And I thought about this, and I sort of told you this yesterday. And this is what I was telling my mom a moment ago. My grandparents didn't agree with, for the most part, the town voted pretty similar, but they weren't always that way.
You even mentioned that they voted.
Well, they did vote it differently. And the banker,
Cancel each other
the
out.
banker might have voted this way. The preacher might have voted this, whatever. I'm not going to sit there and tell you they all voted the same, but there was somebody in the county that probably voted a different way. And their family members who may have, you got to remember, now when I explain this background, my grandmother had two brothers. They lived, one in Lubbock and one lived up in New York. So they were as vastly different politically as well.
Maybe both of our families have people that vote on both sides of the aisle.
Maybe, I don't know how true that is, but maybe.
Mine does.
Who? Anyway, I don't want to get into that now, but
Yeah.
what I will say though is, and this is what I don't understand. This is what was not the case. And I was talking about this to my men's group this morning. There was a group, two guys, I would say in their 70s, black fellow, white fellow, right? Locally here in the DFW area. I want to say maybe in Waxahachie, maybe, I don't know. They're okay. See you later, babe. You can walk the dog there. He's getting a little anxious. These two gentlemen were best friends. They ate every week together and had coffee on a daily basis. One was a big Trump guy, one was a big Biden guy. And they were still dear mates. There was a great picture of them. I don't know if it was in the paper or what, but they're both in their caps for who they're supporting, their shirts, but they're still buddies. And they're still friends and they're still mates. And somewhere along the line, at some point, I don't know what happened in 2000, 2004, 8, whatever. Somewhere along the line, we've gotten to a point where if you don't believe as I do, and this works for both sides of the fence, I'm as guilty as anybody, then you're poo-poo. And if you don't believe in me, you're poo-poo. And somewhere we've gotten to the point where folks can't have a beer together and not disagree for a moment and then go about their business. It's funny, we can disagree on sports. We can disagree who should be, we can fight all day who's the better, should the Cowboys sign Dak or not? Who's the better quarterback, Brady or this weekend, Brady or Breeze? There's all these debates. Who's the best all time? Jordan or LeBron? We can all friendly argue that, right? And we don't get butthurt about it. But for some reason, and I think the reason is because politics aren't just a one loss, one win deal. It's a 4-year win, 4-year loss. But whatever reason is, and I can't figure it out, and I read on social media, I'm going somewhere with this. There are some people out there who I respect and follow who just the venom they're spewing. And their basis of it is only because of what somebody voted. no one's ever, I don't ask them, well, why did you vote? No, I know a couple of people who will tell you why they vote a certain way. And they believe that this is why, and this is why. I got no problem with that. Just like no one should have a problem with how I believe and how I vote. But there's a lot of folks out there that are just spewing off whatever because you didn't vote for the person they like better. It's like a popularity contest for homecoming king or queen. I mean, do you guys realize that the homecoming king and queen grow up eventually, and they're not as cool as the nerd in the class who actually winds up making more money and having the better looking wife in the end? I mean, it's fun. Did anybody ever watch Back to the Future? I mean, right? I mean, didn't Marty McFly's dad turn out to be the richest guy around and not the big nerd he was in high school? I mean, come on. So my point is, I mean, the thing is, it wasn't always like that. I didn't look at somebody and say, oh, he voted for so-and-so, he's got to be terrible. He voted for so-and-so, he's got to be terrible. She voted for so-and-so, she's got to be terrible. First off, folks don't care about the issues. And number two, all they care about is if you voted for my person or no, that person. It's really frustrating. So we all be grown adults. You're right on. And that's where I'm coming from it, I guess. Let's see here. Where are we going? Did I see? Yes. Actually, my wife made a funny Facebook post a few minutes ago about it was funny. It sounded political. It was this rant from somebody. It was a friend of hers post. It was a fun post. I'll have to find it. Let me see if I can read it to you because it sounds so political. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see here. And I'm getting a little dark here. I need to get this thing over with. Let me read this to you. This is actually pretty funny. And when I first read this, I was like, what the heck is she spouting off? Okay, yeah, this is what it was. Just my thoughts. November is finally here. I've seen a lot of hate spewed in recent months about a man who was a constant winner and overachiever, and that's what the people who support him like about him. Yes, he's been caught in lies and twisted the truth a little bit, but he's still out there proving his haters wrong time after time. Some people are jealous of someone who's successful, where I lost it here, successful, powerful, has a lot of money. Throw in a hot foreign model at his side, they hate him even more. They may not even, I'm trying to do this without laughing. They might not have wanted him in this role, but he's now there and nothing you can do about it. I know it's possibly going to get worse over the next several days, but like it or not, Tom Brady is really turning things around in Tampa. Very funny. Very, very funny. So I read that. I'm thinking, my wife is like, what is she writing this Trump stuff for? I'm like, honey, please don't jump off that ledge. Please don't be drawn all sides. And it turns out it was a bit about Tom Brady. So anyway, I got a kick out of that. Pretty funny stuff. Pretty funny. So I don't know if you guys finished. Yeah, funny. Yeah, so I guess Tom Brady ticks all the boxes too. But we all agree that he's probably the best. He may not be. Yes, I did see your post. Probably getting dark quickly. Jen, sorry about putting Jen's on here. Jen's a dear mate. She and her husband are good people. So you guys voted too. Y'all was like, boy, Tony looks the same. Like both of you guys look like you haven't aged at all. You guys got kids and all this, and you guys look like you're still in your 20s. You guys are awesome. I miss you guys. We gotta get together too soon. But we got a little softball talent in the household too, I saw. Anyway, couple things I want to get to, and I'm getting a little dark here. I may have to say, I can't stand it. Yeah, see, again, if we can all agree to disagree on Tom Brady, right? I mean, I'm not a big fan either. But again, I read that post, and you're hearing me read it. You're thinking, what's this wife? What's wrong with her? It turns out it was just a post about Tom Brady. So all good. A couple of more items. I want to get to the. I may save it to Friday. I got to get to. Live happy hour, no doubt about it. We'll do that. Yeah, it was about Tom Brady, honey. It was very, very funny. Very funny. I may save that for Friday. We stayed at a really cool hotel over the weekend. And what I'm trying to do is on this show, there's a couple things. I'm going to come back on Friday. I wasn't sure I was going to. You both are. Here's the idea. You both don't look a day over 20, so you guys look great. I know you want to, but I mean, come on. I mean, Tony's a lot like me. He has a face for radio. Okay, just kidding. Don't tell him I said that. Yeah. I'm gonna see Randy out there as well. I was gonna bang this thing for a couple days. I still am doing a light social media on my channels. Twitter's just too much. And here's the deal: I've got to follow Twitter because I got to get any T-Bone transactions. I got to get those out there to our fans. Talking Baseball Australia, which is a brand and a media channel that I'm a part of with my business partner and broadcast partner, Paul Morgan. We also have a job to do there to keep the Australian fans informed. Things like the Liam Hendriks situation with the A's, minor league things, and then also the upcoming Australian Baseball League seasons. We've got all that stuff going on. And so I don't want to totally pull back from Twitter, but I'm on there for 5 minutes and I'm like, I want to get drawn off sides, and I can't have that happen. I can't get in a back and forth with people and stuff, and I just can't do it. What that is? Some strange noise. It's not Halloween. It's getting a little dark here, isn't it? What else? What else? Good to see you, Randy, David, Joey. Good to see there, everybody out there. I was going to step back, but I'm going to come back on Friday. I'll give you guys the tour of the Cotton Court in Lubbock. I know it sounds like, oh boy, that sounds like a lot of fun. Pretty cool hotel. A really cool, and I love boutique hotels, non-normal. Anybody can go to the Hilton, and the Hilton's a Hilton, right? You've seen one, you've seen them all, right? The Ramada's a Ramada. You've seen one, you've seen them all. But a boutique hotel, this place is really cool. We're going to, my blood pressure won't be able to take Twitter. Instagram, I'll get more involved in Instagram. And plus, I got to promote this show more. I'm not promoting it like I should, but I want to promote it more and promote my Talking Baseball Australia show as well. So I can't totally wean myself off of it for a week or so because of my work needs it. And I also do post for the T-Bones and I do Twitter with Morgan for the T-Bones, and I do Facebook with the T-Bones as well. And we got a lot of great things happening in Kansas City coming up, and I want to be in touch with all that. So I can't do that. But thank you very much. My wife's saying that the darker it gets, the better I look, right? Is that the way it works? But I said this earlier today. This is my tweet today. And this is the only thing I was going to tweet about the politics of it. And this is what we've been talking about. It's been a rough day for me. It's not because Trump's going to lose. That's not it. That's just kind of a win or loss. It's the way it's going about. It's the way the whole thing, it's the way everything's going about behind the scenes. It's the boarded up buildings. It's the cancel culture. It's the name calling. And this is not just one side. This is both sides. Okay, this is both sides of the aisle. What? That's very terrible, honey. You can't be saying that. The sunset is gorgeous. Well, I can say the afterglow to my left looks great. I'm about to turn the light on real quick, aren't I? Hold on, guys. Hold on. You can still hear me here, but I'm going to turn the patio light on here because I need to. There we go. A little better. That'll be a little better for us. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't want to walk away there totally. There we go. That's a little bit better. There's a little bit of a, let me turn this. Let's do it this way. Oh, whatever. Uh-oh. Come on. There we go. Sorry about that. That's my bad. That's all me. I moved my computer and my nice camera came off. Sorry about that. That's all me. Pardon me about that. Time to cook. It is time to cook. It is time to cook. So I'll wrap this up with a couple things. Again, I said this today. This is what I tweeted on Twitter. And again, why I'm in a bad place, not so much the loss. It's not it. I mean, I for me as a person of faith, I see things one way, but that's, the sun came up today. It'll come up tomorrow. And I think my mom made some really good points. What I was concerned about was all the other nonsense, the cancel culture, the finger pointing, the name calling, just the name calling of folks from the country, which is ridiculous. It's just, uncalled for. And it was going on Twitter today and some on Facebook, mostly on Twitter, left and right. Don't need it. And so I put this out there. This is what I'll say. Somebody during a sporting event, this happens all the time. Somebody wins, somebody loses. That happens. In this situation, you got a lot of folks who are happy they've won, and they should be happy. And congratulations, because they're going to win. But they're also taunting the other team that as they walk off the field, instead of a handshake, they're taunting and dancing for figure, not really, but dancing on the grave of the loser. And these people that won believe their lives are going to be better. Their lives are enhanced because of it, and they may be right. They're probably right. On the other side, a group of people lost, and that group of people are sad. They're getting taunted and getting canceled, and they're worried about the future of their lives being worse. Now, it doesn't matter win or lose. There's a winner or loser here in this deal, but one group's going to have it all working out. One group's going to be bad. That's not unity. That's not unity at all. Winning and losing is unity, but winning and losing that way is not unity. Winning by canceling and taunting and not having sympathy for the other side, that is not unity. Unity is, okay, we shake hands, we go forward, and let's all have a drink together, or let's all cheer. It's like we go to the Cowboy games or any game you go to. You're high-fiving your neighbor. I was when Nelson Cruz had a grand slam against the Detroit Tigers in 2010, a walk-off grand slam in the ALCS, go on to play the Yankees, actually go on the World Series, pardon me. I turned and high-fived people around me, not knowing any of those people. I don't know them. To this day, I don't know who they are. It didn't matter, right? It didn't matter. And that's what we need to get to, that we can still high-five each other, still have a little love and all that. And that's where we're at. So unity is really about winning gracefully and losing gracefully. And you can still lose gracefully. You can still lose and not be pointing fingers and acting like a complete horse's egg. It works both ways. So to me, we're not in the place we need to be. We're not unified. And I don't care who wins. I don't care which one of these guys wins. And Biden can tell me he's for all of us, and Trump can tell me he's for all of us. Neither one of those guys really care about what I think or what I believe. They don't really care. They don't care. That's not the point. But as a group of people who support those people, we can care about those people around us winning or losing. We can still be mates at the end of the day. People who disagree with me and who I disagree with, we can still be friends and love each other and have some common decency. That's what unity is. And that's why I was asking my mom earlier, because I thought she's a good example. She voted the Kennedy-Nixon election. She told you guys the inside about that. Yeah, and there was a lot of things that went on after that, but we become a country where rioting and nonsense is commonplace. Back in the 60s, when they rioted for social injustice, which they should have, with the racial issues, they had to get this country right. They should have. That was big news. But now we have riots and nonsense. It's just part of what we do. That's not unity. Dancing in the end zone and spiking the ball and going about your business during the game is one thing. But when the game is over, you don't dance in the end zone. You don't taunt the people coming off the field. You shake hands. You pray together when we did at TCA, and you go forward as human beings. And that's the thing. That's why I'm hurting today, and that's why I'm having a hard time, because I'm afraid I'm going to get canceled, which is ridiculous. It's not right. And if somehow it turns around the other way, I'm not going to cancel anybody else out. Doing to others. Closing out, let's see what we got here. Yes, try to love the other side, trust ourselves. You want my little political take on this whole thing? If either one of these two gentlemen would have shown any of that the whole way, once a week, just once a week, this would have been an easy election for either one of them. And I mean both of them. Now, yes, people all think that, Biden's probably the nicer of the two generally, but yeah, he's sort of empathetic, but I mean, he doesn't inspire me. He's not really inspiring. Trump doesn't inspire me either. The point is we're not waiting around 4 days. If just once a week for the last 2 years, one or the other would have had a little more. Well, one, the loser, who's probably going to be the loser, if he would have just had a little more decency, it was a little nicer. That's all it was. Because this election wasn't about issues. It wasn't. It wasn't about the economy. It wasn't about. I mean, no one's going to cure COVID. Whoever wins wasn't going to cure COVID. They're not going to have a miracle cure unless they go over and take over China, stop China from spreading it. I mean, it wasn't about. It's what I go back to. It wasn't about the issues. It's about being decency, and that's the problem. We're taking our leadership from our cues from people that aren't doing decent things themselves. So that's where we're at. Okay, so anyway, wrapping that up. Couple things here. Mom says problem in the foundation politics is self-serving. Well, it needs to change. Limited years of congressman, yes. Serve like 2 terms for the president, yes. Again, do you really think that either one of those 2 guys is going to call me and say, "Hey, man, how you doing? I really do care about you"? No, they got to call all of us. I'm not naive, but I think that they're all self-serving. Every one of them is self-serving for a reason. I get it. I understand. We're all that. It's human nature. It's human nature for all of us. But the idea is the one who could show a little bit, and apparently one was able to show a little bit more compassion, I suppose. That's why he winds up being the same way. He definitely liked me in the dark. Yeah, I look a little skinnier. Preach. Anyway, that's my take. I didn't know where this was going to go today. Thanks for Mom for jumping on. That helped a lot, and my wife as well. I was going to do the show regardless today, but I was desperately trying to keep not canceling the whole live happy hour. But I do have some great things going forward. We do have the hotel reviews and some of the things we're doing. I'm going to be doing some beer tests. I promised you that a week and a half ago, but because of my teaching schedule, I'm going to do that. We're going to be doing a couple of beer taste tests. I enjoyed one over the weekend, and I'm going to be bringing you a key lime if I can find it. Really pretty solid. There's one more. Oh, yeah, the Buffalo Wings beer and the fried Oreo beer, which is a darker beer. We're going to be trying to test those as we can. So those are coming up. And again, we also I'm going to do a couple of live cooking things from just start the show and go live to the cooking thing and do a little filming. That we're going to get the cooking channel going as well. So all that, but I will be, if you follow me on Twitter and on Facebook, I will be trying to walk gingerly because I don't want to get drawn offside. So you may not see as much of me on Twitter and Facebook for the next couple of days, day or so, a few hours. I'll still post here and there, but if I don't like you or whatever, don't be offended because I don't want to go through the whole string because I don't want to see the nonsense. So let's see what else we got here. The way to overcome downtime is going to be doing what we do best. Yes. That key lime beer was awful, my wife said. It wasn't. Here's the deal. A sour beer like that, and we'll get to that when we test it. You've got to have it's got to be a warm day. It has a bit of a shanty feel to it. We'll get to that down the road. Mom says, yeah, overcoming, yes. But I got to tell you, Mom, I'm scared. I'm worried. I'm really, really worried for a lot of reasons. And it scares me. I'm not scared of a shadow, but I think you brought up a great point, though, Mom. Keeping our faith and our country does the right things about certain situations. I think we'll be okay. But I'm worried. Somebody doesn't like what I stand for or believe in. I'm going to get canceled. It means I lose my livelihood and my job and my future. I think we should all be worried about that. So, fear not. But yes, but still, I think that's only natural. And I never do, as I told those college kids last spring, politics, religion, and her they don't usually cross my Twitter feed unless, there are certain people on both sides who I like. Tim Tebow, I'll like and retweet his stuff. James Woods is really conservative, the Hollywood actor. I'll tweet. And there's a lot, but I've also got some liberals, more liberal thinking. S.E. Cupp is one. I will like and retweet some things she says. They're both sides of the aisle I agree with, but for my own sanity, I got to step back. But again, I'm afraid that if I like one person's over the other, it's almost like I'm keeping score. Okay, I like 5 things from a conservative, 5 things from a liberal. I'm probably in the middle, and that's not the way to live. Let's see here. If you can find a box, get a cutting board and accessories. Yes, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. By the way, it'll be part of our some of our things we'll be doing going forward. The problem I'm having though with the show, we're only an hour in, it's already dark, and I want to do some stuff here, and so I may have to do it inside in the kitchen, which is fine. But we'll have to start right on time. Maybe move it back 15 minutes. Or maybe it's Friday, we start at 4. I don't know. Maybe the days we do some outdoor stuff, we start at 4. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, guys. Again, crazy times. Be safe out there. Yeah, sitting in the middle of the aisle, and you're right there, baby. It is reaching both folks. It's like that. But what I don't want it to be is not making a stand for something you believe in, right or wrong. But you can still make a stand for what you believe is right or wrong, and still have empathy. You can still have love. You can still have compassion, and it's hard as hell. It's hard. I'm telling you, it's hard. I mean, I'll use the biblical analogy. Do you think when Jesus got hung on the cross, that was easy for him? I mean, do you think those disciples had it easy? I mean, I'm just use that as a Christian, as a believer. No, I'll use that as an example, not to be too evangelical, but do you think nothing is easy? So being empathetic, and I'm sure it must have been. I was asking for Trump to be more empathetic during the election or during the process. He couldn't be. It wasn't easy for him just to do it once a week. Hey, Thomas, good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well, bud. Good to see you out there. Anyway, I think I've kind of sort of exhausted, but I feel better. Maybe if all this was a chance for me to feel a little bit better, because I didn't, again, it wasn't the fact of who's going to win. That's part of it. The other stuff was all the back and forth, and it's funny. A real liberal that I like a lot, a guy named Juan Williams. He's on Fox. You guys know who he is. He said today that we're as polarized as ever as a country, and I think his closest mates are conservatives and vice versa. There's a lot of respect there, and again, it's hard to do that. It's easy to cancel folks out and point the finger and hide behind a tweet. I do it all the time about Tech football. I hide behind tweets all the time about Red Raider football. That's why I don't like to. That's why I don't hashtag them. I don't address it to them personally because that's kind of being cowardly, hiding behind a tweet. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah, and that's the point. Caring for the poor and marginalized. That's a very good point. And yeah, I was saying, and I use them as an example, sweetheart, is the disciple thing. Not to be evangelical about it, but that's an example. But again, we've talked about this 1,000 times. Doing the right thing is hard. I mean, admitting that you made a mistake or admitting you're wrong and apologizing to your best mate or apologizing to the fans because you dropped the ball in the end zone or jumped off sides on a crucial play, it's hard. Sucks. Giving up the game-winning home run sucks. It ain't easy. But being classy and dignified, even in defeat, is something we can all do as a winner and a loser. I mean, you can be a shitty loser and a shitty winner. Either way, it works that way. Gosh, let's see here. Thomas says, yes, we got to get together soon, Thomas. What tribute band? This is funny, Thomas. I meant to say this earlier, but I saw there's a tribute bands are everywhere now. When Thomas and I and some group and my wife went and saw the Petty Theft about a month ago. Great show. Mike Reiner from The Ticket. Great stuff. And there's tribute bands. My friend Trey Garrity is in Hard Day's Night, the Beatles tribute band. There's all kinds of tribute bands out there. I want to find a Buddy Holly one. It's got to be a Buddy Holly one. My buddy, or not buddy, but a guy I do know, Ricky Derrick, does the Sinatra, Dean Martin, all that stuff, the crooner stuff. He's really kind of a hybrid of all of them. He's a good show. But there's also one. I didn't know this, Thomas, and I was a little odd by it. So I wasn't sure how I felt about it. But apparently, there's a Shania Twain tribute person, a female, that she does. Shania Twain was pretty big back in the 90s, early 2000s, big 90s. But I'm not so sure. I mean, that's kind of a random tribute person, but she had a lot of hits, right? So yeah, I mean, we gotta, yeah, Thomas. Yes. There's a Shania Twain tribute person. Saw it today online on Facebook. It was for an ad for Shania Twain tribute person. And I don't remember the name. And I got a friend of mine over in Australia. She was in Melbourne, and Tanya, and she's really talented. And she sort of does a little bit of a Patsy Cline, sort of. She kind of pulls that off, that look with a little bit of a rockabilly kind of edgy look. But she does a really good Patsy Cline set in her show. She does a lot of her own stuff too, but she's really talented. Tanya Davies has done that before. I've seen her do that before. Does great stuff. But anyway, I've gone way too long. I got to get dinner going. We got chicken to throw in the grill in the dark out here, and the last remaining mozzie, last mosquito standing, is getting at my calf here and just having a field day. So I'll see you guys on Friday. Friday coming up. Hopefully we can have. I'd like to get one of those beer taste things going on Friday. Give you guys a little review of one of the interesting beers I've discovered lately. And then also we're going to give you guys a tour of the Cotton Court from the Valencia Hotel Group. There's no ad here. This is free of charge. But for the Valencia Hotel Group, boutique hotel in Lubbock. Yes, Lubbock has boutique hotels. Who'd have thunk? Who'd have thunk it was that trendy, right, Lance? All right, guys, much love. Thomas has an Iron Maiden. Yeah, Iron Maiden tribute band. All girl. That's interesting. I know you like, Thomas, you mentioned the other day when we were talking that you like to listen to the Hair Nation on XM. And I have XM or a Sirius in my car. And so I've actually been caught a couple of times listening to the Hair Nation channel. Some of my Poison and Great White tracks that I'd forgotten about. I know you do. I know. Yeah, there's some fun stuff. That may be the question on Friday. What's the trivia band we should start? I kind of want to see a Buddy Holly one. I don't know. All right. Love you guys. Much better. Let's love each other more. Yeah, Hair Nation. That's it. Let's be better tomorrow or today. Let's try to at least not cancel each other out. Let's show the love and empathy. Let's be classy. And be classy, San Diego. Be classy, everybody. The Sinatra, Dean Martin. Yeah, actually, again, Ricky Derrick is a guy in Dallas. But Mom, when you're down here, we may go see him. He does a lot of smaller venues. Of course, this is back when the COVID's gone. He does a really cool Christmas variety show. He does actually a couple of shows. He does his own act. He does like a variety show, very old Ed Sullivan type, where he has a magician and a female singer and a male singer and all this stuff. Very variety, old 60s, 50s, black and white TV kind of deal. But he does a really, really good, Buddy Holly, the Monkees, would be good. Maybe it's a hybrid of like the good old days, and you have a Buddy Holly, a Monkees, and I have a buddy that's an Elvis guy. What is his name? Draw a blank on his real name, as I know him as Elvis, and that's a true story. Okay, I'll give you guys this final story before I let you guys go. Baseball winter meetings, 96 or so in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Marriott Marquis, downtown Atlanta, and Gary Saunders, who sometimes checks in. Gary's at Ole Miss now, working for their properties group with their sports properties. Gary and we had a friend. He had a friend. We all had a friend who was an Elvis impersonator. And at the winter meetings, besides, but they have this trade show, and the trade show has got things like, ballpark popcorn, best hot dog, anything about baseball is there. Bats, balls, helmets, merchandise, giveaways, whatever the new thing is, that's there for the people that design ballparks, different seats, little cup holders, whatever. You name it, they're there, as well as entertainers. Things like the San Diego Chicken was there that year. Any kind of, there's a Blues Brothers act. Any kind of act that travels around and does these ballpark shows was there. And our buddy did the Elvis thing, and I gotta dig his name up. He's on Facebook. I gotta find it. But anyway, long and the short of it is, we went to lunch in Atlanta on a Friday, December on a Friday, and pretty busy at the Hard Rock Cafe down there in Atlanta. It was pretty busy happening, not just with the baseball winter meetings, but normal folks in town and about having lunch at the Hard Rock. And the Hard Rock was pretty big back in the 90s. You guys know that. Anyway, this buddy of ours went in full Elvis regalia, because he was wearing the outfit because he was walking around the winter meetings doing, trying to hustle up business. And he in the full jumpsuit, the glasses, the hair, everything. The guy had a real good look going. And we're sitting there having, we're all in kind of blazer. I was in a blazer and a tie probably, and, business suit kind of thing. We're all kind of dressed up for a convention executive wise. And this one guy is in an Elvis jumpsuit and he looks the part. And we're all having a lunch, and everybody in Hard Rock, we walk into Hard Rock of all places. We walk in as entourage, Elvis's bodyguards. We're all in suits around this guy in jackets who's dressed as Elvis. We all sit down, have a meal, and the place was going nuts. People kept coming by getting our photos. There's probably photos from that winter meetings circulating somewhere in people's old school photo albums left and right of Elvis with Elvis at the winter meetings in 96. So I thought that good story out. It was a fun time. When Elvis walks in at Hard Rock, that's when you know you're having a good time. All right, guys, much love. Let's be better tomorrow or today. Let's all show some love, and let's keep fighting on. Let's get the close up here, and I will see you guys on Friday at Virtual Happy Hour, 5 o'clock. Don't forget, tomorrow night, you're really bored. Catch Talking Baseball Destroy Live, Baseball's Best Mate, with myself and Paul Morgan. Will come your way tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central Time, and it'll be 7 a.m. in Western Australia on a Friday morning. All right, guys, we'll see y'all on Friday. Have a great weekend there. Great weekend. Great rest of your week, everybody. I love y'all.